Well, here we are at our very last chapter, Chapter 10, Making It Stick. Now, I know that you have already noticed that there is no quiz for this chapter, so you're probably tempted to skip it. I hope you don't, because it does have some very good suggestions for developing an ethics policy, making it a proactive rather than reactive policy, and finding ways to meet the challenges to organizational integrity. Besides, it's only 8 pages long, and it will help you with your final assignment. Here is a long quote from James Baker. A few of you may remember that he was the Chief of Staff for President Reagan and the Secretary of State for the first President Bush. He said, "As long as fallible human beings are in charge, we can expect more businesses to get into big trouble. Generally, they're going to fail through bad luck or bad business judgment, but sometimes they're going to fail through negligence or active malfeasance or even active criminal behavior. The challenge our society faces is to study these events and to take lessons from them about ethical conduct personally and ethical conduct as representatives of our companies and about public policy responses. I ask myself, what should I do differently in my job? What should my company do differently?" A long and eloquent way to say that we all make mistakes, by accident or intentionally, and we must learn from those mistakes. I believe that we would all like to think that only the brightest among us rise to the CEO level of a large corporation. So if he or she is so bright, why do they make so many mistakes? Well, here is a list of just some of the issues a CEO deals with. Demanding customers who want new and better products and services, of course at lower prices. Impatient stockholders who want the stock price to rise every quarter. Aggressive vendors who want to sell you more of everything. Demanding federal, state, and local officials who want to burden you with more rules and regulations and encourage you to hire more people and pay more taxes. Demanding creditors who want their loan payments on time, and aggressive competitors who just want to steal your business. So how do you implement a sustainable ethical behavior that persists long after the latest public scandal or the latest management buzzword? How do you make it stick? Here's a list of 6 stages to use to involve the organization in committing to support an ongoing process of monitoring and enforcing ethical behavior. These are: establish a code of ethics, support the code of ethics with extensive training for everyone, hire an ethics officer, celebrate and reward the ethical behavior demonstrated by your employees, promote your organization's commitment to ethical behavior, and continue to monitor the behavior as you grow. We will look at each of these stages individually. A well-written code of ethics can do a lot of things. It can capture what the organization understands ethical behavior to mean. It can establish a detailed guide to acceptable behavior. It can state policies for behavior in specific situations, and it can document punishments for violation of those policies. The audience for the code of ethics would be every stakeholder of the business: investors, customers, suppliers, and employees. Everyone needs to see how serious you are about ethical performance. The Institute of Ethics recommends the following steps if you are developing a code of ethics from scratch. Find a champion. This should be a senior executive, maybe even the CEO. Get endorsement from the board of directors. As we have discussed, corporate values and ethics are matters of governance. The board must not only be enthusiastic, but must also receive regular reports on its operation. Find out what bothers people. This sounds just a bit strange, but it is important to find out on what topics your employees need guidance. Pick a well-tested model. Produce a company code of conduct. Distribute it as a pamphlet or post it prominently on the company's intranet. Make sure you include guidelines on how the code should work. Try it out first, perhaps with a sample of employees from all levels and different locations. Formally issue the code and make it known. Make it work. Provide practical examples of the code in action. Managers should sign off on the code regularly, and a formal review process should be established. Since the code can't capture every possible example of unethical behavior, each department of the organization should take the code and apply it to examples that could arise in their areas. During team meetings, employees can work on recognizing the ethical issue or the ethical dilemma, discussing options for an appropriate response, and selecting the best option for the organization. Hire an ethics officer, a senior executive responsible for monitoring the ethical performance of the organization, both internally and externally. This sends a clear message to your stakeholders and provides employees an appropriate person to turn to when they need guidance. The Ethics and Compliance Officers Association, yes, there is an association for ethics and compliance officers, conducted a survey with its over 1,000 members. As you glance through this list, no, I won't read them all, you can see a heavy emphasis on oversight, communication, training, and assessing the effectiveness of the Code of Conduct. Celebrate and reward ethical behavior demonstrated by your employees. Here are some good examples. Celebrate examples in your company newsletter. Award prizes for ethical behavior and let the employee choose the reward from a predetermined list, of course. Award prizes for new and creative ideas. Recognize employees who represent the standard of behavior to which you are committing, and declare an ethics day and allow every department to share their successes. Promote your organization's commitment to ethical behavior. An ethics policy commits you to doing the right thing for all your stakeholders, so make that commitment well known. Make clear and firm promises and then deliver on those promises. Build a reputation your stockholders can count on. Your text offers these examples. Offer a no questions asked refund like Land's End, and I know there are several companies that do this. Offer 110% price match guarantee like Home Depot. If you overcharge a client by mistake, give them a refund plus interest before they figure out that you made a mistake. Get your clients involved in the development of your ethics policy. Ask them to tell you what forms of behavior or guarantees will make them feel reassured that they are dealing with an ethical company. Let your employees visit client sites to talk about your code of ethics. Share your success stories with all of your stakeholders and invite your stakeholders to your Ethics Day celebration. Continue to monitor your behavior as you grow. Any organization's commitment to ethical performance must be watched constantly. It's easy for other business issues to take priority and for the code of ethics to suddenly become taken for granted. As we saw in our discussions of ethics and technology in Chapter 8, the continued growth of technology will present new situations for ethical dilemmas, such as policies on email monitoring and web surfing, so your code may need to be rewritten on a regular basis. Unfortunately, many organizations develop ethical policies out of fear of stiff financial penalties or fear of government investigations. These are reactive ethical policies that result when organizations are driven by events or out of fear of the future event. True ethical policies are proactive, policies that result when the company develops a clear sense of what they stand for as an ethical organization. One characteristic that is common to organizations is a commitment to transparency. A transparent organization is an organization that maintains open and honest communication with all its stakeholders. Finally, we should end this discussion with a brief mention of organizational integrity, which is demonstrated by publicly committing to the highest professional standards and sticking to that commitment. With so much negative press and so many examples of corporate malfeasance, it is more important than ever that corporations win the trust and confidence of their stakeholders and then keep that trust over the long term. Yes, that is a lofty goal, but then that is the point of business ethics. So now we are done. We have covered the entire textbook. I really hope these lectures were helpful. Remember, you have one more assignment and the class survey to complete. As always, if you have any questions, you can email me or post to our Questions, Issues, and Concerns discussion forum. It has been great having all of you in my class. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a few things too.